let's get started. Hello everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Michelle Benitez, the editor for Hola Escritores, a monthly column that highlights Latina authors and literature. And welcome to our first ever Charla. This will be a live reading and Q&A session with each month's featured author. And for this month, we have Violeta Garza, author of the fierce poetry collection Brava. So, round of applause. So, Violeta recently spoke with one of our Hola Escritores writers, Lorena Ortiz, who is also here tonight for an interview that you can find on our website. We have the QR code below if you haven't scanned it yet. And I just wanted to give one quote from Lorena's interview that I think best encapsulates everything you'll see. Brava is an anthem to self-love, growth, shedding, and a return to home, physically, mentally, and mystically. And we're honored to have Violeta perform and speak here tonight. So without further ado, everyone, please welcome Violeta.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that beautiful intro, Michelle. And thank you to Lorena, to Christine, to Claudia, and to Emily, and everybody who's made this event possible for us. It's so exciting. I love being the inaugural anything, like the very first of everything, of anything. I love being like, yeah, that feels really nice. It feels really nice. So as many of you know, I have this book that I have loved being a part of. She is like my tia. She has provided me with such wisdom. And so for today, I'm going to be doing a little bit of reading for you all. I'm going to start with one poem that I really, really love called La Tiendita. And this poem, we're all in this state of collective grief right now, especially this week with the news that we've been getting. Um, it's really affecting our community tremendously. And so I want to dedicate this to everyone who has ever lost somebody. This poem is called La Tiendita, para los que ya no están aquí. I didn't want you to leave, but if you had to, I am so grateful to you for giving me the map to La Tiendita. Without you, I never would have found it, but of course, you led me there. You always did have an affinity for adventure and complex flavors. This everlasting place is where I can find a flux of the freshest cilantro, queso fresco, and corn tortillas. The herbs taste cozy, like fortitude, like your voice at its most tender. I go to La Tiendita to replenish my pantry so I can make your favorite dish, which has now become my favorite dish. Savoring it spoonful by spoonful. Mm. It feels like having a giddy conversation with you just the way I remember you. At La Tiendita, the lighting is always warm. The aisles are always wide, and the speakers play songs I heard you sing at least once. Everything there is so vibrant. Even the wooden floor feels alive. La tiendita always feels so far away, but once I make up my mind to make the trek, it's so much closer than I realize. Sometimes I go there in the aurora when it's quiet. Sometimes I go there in my dreams. Every time I go, it feels like, ugh, like I just missed you, like you were just there restocking the shelves with all the things you know I like, but also not just for me, all the other people who loved you, who miss you, who ingested a bit of your spirit, who will never be the same since you crossed. Every time I go, I think I'm going to weep for you. And it would be okay if I did, but I don't. Because even though I can't see you, I know you are there with me. I'm always amazed how La Tiendita is always open. However long I stay, it feels like mere seconds and entire lifetimes all at once. I'm always amazed how I leave with the halcyon feeling that even now you entrust all your love in my palms because you lived, loved, and left. I learned to be the most authentic version of me, full of peace, full of music, full of growth, full of medicine. I did not want you to leave, but if you absolutely had to, I'm so grateful to you for all of you, for choosing me, for staying with me in the way you can, wherever that may lead, wherever that may lead, wherever that may lead. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, finger snaps, clapping. I'm hearing it. Yes, give it all. I
Thank
appreciate,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate I appreciate having a space to do that poem because I feel like many of us, the grief is always inside me, and so it's very easy to access and to honor those that came before us that we still hold in our hearts so deeply. So that was La Tiendita, again, from my book Brava. And this next poem that I'm going to do is called Equator. And it goes like this. 29 degrees. Actually, no. Let me start again. Equator, 29.42 degrees north, 98.49 degrees west. Juan Gabriel's Insensible oscillates from La Romántica 98.7 FM. A 10-year-old watches her father through a dusty mirror. He runs Brillantina líquida tres flores through his canas. She promises herself she will grow thorns and crowbars out of her palms. 0 degrees north, 0 degrees west. Under hand-scripted constellations, I sexy walk into the automated sprinklers in front of caladiums and distracted strangers. My frazzled skirt lifts, skin jiggles in the fierce water pressure. 29.42 degrees north, 98.49 degrees west. She blames the end on her vulnerability and at fake.love's cowardice. At fake.love, relieved upon her exit, throws out her potted mint. She, one lonely year later, intersperses dirt and hair follicles under fingernails from clawing her ex's root system to dust. 0 degrees north, 0 degrees west. I mature into a white braided map maker who paints doors with brush pens of India ink. Never before has this body of mine crossed the equator of her own accord away from tender-hearted predators. 29.42 degrees north, 98.49 degrees west. After the party, her fingers loosen her necktie, remove her large silver hoops, unfasten her skylight-tinted button-down. The rest on the floor. She shakes out her graying roots, studies her nude reflection. She is all silk now, all intentional circumference, all moon. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'd like to do one last poem. Thank you. Oh, I see the hearts. I see the little pom pom pom, all the emoji. Thank you. Thank you. I receive it with a lot of love. So thank you so much. Um, this next poem, it feels almost audacious to dedicate it to Dolores Huerta, but I want to. This was not written for her necessarily, but it is written about the generational wounds that we carry, and how sometimes in protecting others, um, we do ourselves in. I know that that certainly happened with my family, and so I want to speak to the truth, at least from my family side. This poem is called Future Vigil for a Generational Wound. It's in my book Brava, and if you happen to have it in front of you, it's on page 38. Again, Future Vigil for a Generational Wound. It's dark on the water. In the shifting candlelight, I wear the color of ectoplasm to the vigil for what has been vanquished. My mother's ever-present hair ribbons, my grandmother's single high-heeled shoe in a reddish hue, my offering of tobacco and song to the land. All of it disperses from my hands across the textured ripples, fans out, waving to pursue a different family to haunt, perhaps, on to the next Congress. In life, the women in my family line had the resilience, but not the space or the tools to chip away at their tribulations. In death, all their hope rests on me. They send me dreams of coded weaponry. I awake with words that are not my own in my throat. These words fuse a crystal of light to warm our shoulders across the realms. Chip, chip, thunk, chip, chip, thunk, chip, chip, thunk. After the carnage, I breathe out without the secrets, the lies, for once. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate this space. Um, I love all types of building community, and so I appreciate Hola Cultura for creating this opportunity for us to be together apart, but together at the same time. So thank you all so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Violeta, for reading for us. As always, your energy while performing is amazing, and you can feel it even through this digital screen. And we're very happy to have you here. Let's start with our questions then that were submitted to us by our audience. And thank you again to everybody who did submit questions. So let's start with our first. When did you start writing poetry and how has it impacted your life?
The first poem I wrote was when I was in fifth grade for a Mother's Day card making class. I did a bilingual poem, very, very simple. Um, And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, sure, whatever. Lots of people write poetry, right? And then when I was in high school and falling in love, and working out some very deep feelings, again, I wrote poetry, some in English, some in Spanish, and I was taking French in school at the time, so some poetry in French as well. And again, I thought like, yes, high school love, yes. And I just thought like, okay, whatever, like everybody writes, I'm no Emily Dickinson. I didn't think anything of it, but I think one of my favorite poets, Jessica Salgado, says that we all go to poetry in search of ourselves. And I feel like for me, poetry was a place for me to work out those deep feelings. And for a long time, I didn't want to share it with anybody. And that's okay. That's still sacred work. But it took me a long time to give myself permission to call myself a poet because I thought, again, it's only those big shots that get to do that. But then I realized, honey, no, 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 no. I have my voice and it's an important one for me and it's a gift. It's an offering to anybody who wants it. If they want it, great, and if they don't, they don't, and that is quite all right. So I'm really grateful for the gifts that poetry has given me because at every age that I've been, there's something that gives back to me, and I hope to give back to it at the same time.
Of course. And In Brava, your poetry feels both intimate and defiant. How do you balance that vulnerability and strength in your writing?
These questions are so, so, so good. When it comes to, yeah, intimate and defiant sounds about right. I wouldn't have come up with those words necessarily, so thank you to whoever came up with those words. But it's true. I feel like I don't know if anybody else relates to this, but growing up, I always felt like I was kind of a little bit of an outsider. And I felt like if people would just pay attention to me, they would know what a gem I was. But at the same time, I was terrified of, being inspected in that kind of way. So it was this push and pull. And so I think the thing about this work in particular is that it gives me an opportunity to be all the things that I am, even the things that contradict themselves. I get to be all of those things, and being vulnerable is a strength to me, and being strong is being vulnerable as well. I know that sometimes it has not felt like that in my lifetime, but I definitely see it that way now. And for a long time, I was trying to be so normal, and I realized, eventually I just started being me. And I thought, man, this whole time, like I was way cooler than I thought I was this whole time if I had just let go. So I think that's just part of the package for me now. Whenever I can, I lead with truth and honesty, and sometimes that's terrifying, especially having come with, from a very traditional Mexican household where you don't speak your mind like that, or you get la chancla, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm an adult now, and I get to do what I want now within limits. So,
I feel
thank
like
you.
now's a good time to bring up your Poderosa earrings to the chat.
That's right, y'all. Poderosa earrings. I got these for free at a clothing swap at the Esperanza Center here in San Antonio, Texas, for Pride Night, whatever it was called, like their queer night in June. Yes,
Mhm.
honey, these are powerful.
They're lovely.
Thank you.
So, how do you see poetry as a form of cultural or political resistance within the Latinx Latina literary tradition?
Yes, I see in the chat. Shout out to San Antonio. Yes, yes, yes. Your question about, yeah, about poetry being part of the literary tradition of resistance. Absolutely. There have been so many wonderful poets that have come before me who have been inspirations, whether it's in their words or the way that they actually, interact, with others in terms of their career. And so I think political resistance, especially right now, is so, so important. And people come at it from different perspectives. I feel like we're being tested where our comfort level is. And I think every day is a testament to how we are being encouraged to try to be a little bit braver every day. I'm trying to be braver today than I was yesterday. And poetry creates an opportunity, especially here in San Antonio, Texas. There's such support among poets here. There's a few of us here on the call already. I've gotten so much from everybody, the way that we support each other, speak truth to power, and do what we can to create the new world that many of us are trying our best to see. So I owe a lot to the tradition of both the written word, but also performing poetry in front of an audience, which is an added element of, it's an art. I One of the things that I love the most about performing is that I get to play with words and with my voice and with pauses and with volume in ways that I don't normally get to do. So I'm always learning, and I always want to get better at it. So thank you.
Yeah. And For me, at least, the way I speak in English and the way I speak in Spanish, it almost holds like two different versions of myself. I'm not sure if it's like that for you, but how do you engage with English and Spanish when you're guide or to guide yourself in your poetry and your own thoughts and feelings?
Yes, there's this idiom in Turkish, and I wish I could remember it. It's like I might look it up later, but it's this idea that one language, one personality, two languages, two personalities. I feel like in every language that I've explored in my life, there's a different part of my personality that comes out. And so when it comes to doing this in the poetry, um, there are these mixes, like there's a part of me that is comfortable swearing or cursing in English, but like it's doing it in Spanish. Like it's like my inner 8-year-old is like, no, te van a castigar, So I do think that there are different ages within me and different personalities within me in the work. And so I think that the tricky part is not so much existing in both, but trying to make both coexist in the worlds of each other. I've seen occasionally in books some code switching from English to Spanish that doesn't feel very natural to me. And so I took great care to try to make sure to make it something that felt like, oh, this is the way that people really talk. It wasn't just like a literary thing, which is a beautiful thing, but I wanted it to feel lived in and embodied. And so, with some of my writing groups where I have, poets that don't necessarily speak Spanish, I hesitate sometimes, like getting feedback, because I'm like, I don't know that they're really gonna get it, but at the same time, that is quite all right, we get to coexist in this world. And the part of me that's code switches every day, um, is one that I want to celebrate because there have been times where we haven't been allowed to do that as Latinas, and so I want to honor that both in my speaking life and in my writing.
And for your epigraph, you quote lines from La Canción de las Flores by Mardonio Carvalho. How did you discover this poem?
So for scale, here's my sweet little book, and then here's Mardonia's book.
Wow.
So yeah, I know. It is a work of art. So actually, I found this book in my partner's house. We had just started dating, and I was like snooping through their bookshelves, and I found this book, and I'm like, ¿qué es esto? Ni Xochitl ni Cuicat from La Canción de las Flores. And there is an English translation as well. But so I was kind of leafing through it and I had an idea of what I wanted for an epigraph. But once I started reading this, I was like in love. And I thought, forget it, I'm switching to this. And so this book has both the English and the Nahuatl and the Spanish. And so I thought, well, now I have to go hunt down the English translation, but it's not a very easy to find book. So I went into my like back in a former life, I was a librarian. So I went and I was like doing all the sneaky things, trying to find the translation in English. So I interacted with a bunch of librarians all across the country who had a copy of the book in English, so I could get the official translation. And it took a few weeks. For a while, I was like, "Oh my God, is this ever gonna happen? I need this translation. Oh my God!" But then it arrived just in time, as these things tend to do. And so I'm very fortunate. And actually, don't tell anybody. I can tell you all this, but like I'm working on doing the audiobook for Brava. And I've been like, yes, I know. Ah, it's so exciting. It's like under wraps, but I just spilled the beans like I do. But I had somebody teach me how to speak the Nahuatl because I don't speak Nahuatl, but I wanted to pronounce it as best as I could. So I spent a couple of days like really working on it. And so more on that when the time is right. So, yeah, I know. Thank you all so much for the excitement. Send beautiful vibes.
Yes, congratulations. I was really hoping that you were going to do an audiobook for something at the I wanted to ask if you've done it in the past. You have a great voice for it. And even the epigraph, like it's such a short paragraph. It's just a few lines, but it's so impactful and a great way to start off what is going to be your collection. So I'm glad you chose that for your section or for your epigraph.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, let's see. Tell us about the background for La Tiendita, the first poem you read to us.
So this poem, you know what? One of the leaders of well, actually the leader of the Weird Writers is here today, Alicia Garcia. I'm just saying hi to you. It's because I've been in this group that I wrote this poem. It was part of a celebration for a young man who passed away when he was very young. It was very unexpected, and so it was a celebration of his life, and we were all encouraged to write a poem about him, about grief, and this was, 2022. It was still in the days of the pandemic when things were still kind of uncertain, and I was still masking a lot at the time. I was isolating myself because had a lot of fear for my health, because I'm a disabled person, and so, this poem came about, and whenever I've done it, I've always had someone come up to me and tell me, "Oh my God, this reminds me of my abuelita, this reminds me of my primo." And so people ask me, like, "Oh, who did you write it about?" Of all questions I get about this book, that's the one that I get the most. Like, who did you write La Tiendita about? And honestly, I wrote it about a bunch of different people. There are so many people I've lost in my life, just like many of us. Like, again, it's not unique. Um, but the way that they leave but still hang around, is something that I really, really wanted to honor. So, I wanted to make space for this poem, and it's one that keeps following me and that I love, I love, I love doing La Tiendita. So thank you, whoever asked the question.
It's a great poem, and I feel like it's nice that it's not based on just one experience, so it's easily something we can all reflect onto our own memories as well. Now, on to the other poem you read for us, Equator. There are two sets of coordinates that appear in it, the 29.42 north, 98.49 west, and 0 north, 0 west. What role do the coordinates play?
So this poem has been so interesting because when I wrote it, I felt so clever. I was like, I don't know that many people who like have coordinates in their poems, so I'm gonna do this. And I have done so many rewrites of this poem, and I've submitted it for publication in different journals, and people are like, nah, we're good. And I think it is one of my more surreal poems. And when I was trying to come up with these coordinates, I was like, okay, I was born in San Antonio, but I spent time in Nuevo Laredo and in Laredo, Texas. And I was trying to capture this moment of like tejanidad, like being here in Texas. And so I was looking for coordinates that felt like they were not just accurate, but also that were ac- coordinates that I could actually speak out loud for whatever reason. Whenever I try to say them, like se me traba la lengua. I'm like, ah, 98 punto whatever. And so again, when I was doing the audiobook with this particular poem, I was like, I did like 5 different takes because I kept tripping up over this dang numbers. But so the coordinates that you see, the ones that are, well, I forget what they are again. They are 29.42 north and 98.49 west. If you look those up, that's San Antonio. And then 0 degrees north and 0 degrees west is this almost like dream Netherland where another version of yourself can exist. And so to me, this is the place where anything is possible because it's an alternate version of you, or of the the protagonist of the poem who gets to exist in these different timelines of life that all inform each other. So yeah, that poem is really special to me, and I'm really appreciative to the editors at my press, First Matter Press, who really worked with me with this poem. This was the one that took the longest to get to publication because yeah, they were like, I don't get it. And I'm like, yep, I get that too. So I really love what the poem became once the editors asked me a bunch of questions and I was able to sit with it and try to communicate this state of being for this person through different timelines.
Now, you are clearly an experienced writer and you've been through writing groups as you've talked about. Do you have any writing routines or practices that make you a stronger writer?
Yes. One of my favorite things to do, which I haven't done in a while, is to set up my table like it's a little cafe. I'm having cafecito with a friend, and it's just me and my muses. There's two of them, and I have little popcorn, maybe a little bit of hummus, a little bit of juguito de zanahoria or whatever it is that I want, a little panecito. And I just go, hey, what's going on? What shall we work on? What shall we write about? For a while, I was really consistent with that practice, and it was, man, those muses are chismosas. They had all kinds of ideas. Um, and many of which I did work on. These days, that's not something that I do as often. I would like to get back to that. But one of the things that I'm enjoying is writing poetry out by hand, paper and pencil, old school way, because sometimes when I'm typing, my thoughts get jumbled and it all gets too fast. But doing it with a paper and pencil, it slows me down. It helps me do multiple drafts, and kind of change things up. And so that helps me tremendously. Um, and I'm also working on illustrating things right now. So I journal quite a bit and I'm working on drawing because I love being able to express things in a different way. So, yeah.
And what's one instance where you embraced who you were and felt more braver because of it?
Woo! Yeah. I'm gonna take a drink of my water. Mhm. Yeah. There have been times that I've had to speak up in uncomfortable spaces, um, like many of us have. I remember the time I was with a group of individuals in Colorado, and somebody started talking about those dang Mexicans. And I'm like, no me ves? Like, are you kidding me? Like, look at this face. Do you know my name? My name is Violeta, like, come on. And so, and I know that there's a certain there's a certain privilege with the way that I look in comparison to other members of my family um, who are much more dark skinned. It's an icky topic to talk about, but I mean, I definitely know that I've benefited from colorism, but at the same time, I've had to, yeah, it's happened to Lorena as well. Yeah, it happens, and you're like, excuse me. And
Mhm.
so I've had, you have to speak up in those instances, and I can't get too caught up in like saying it in the perfect way, the right way. I just have to say like, hey, like I will not let you cross this line anymore. And so it's uncomfortable in the moment, but afterwards it always feels like, well, I could have said something more cleverly maybe, but no. For me, the important thing is making the truth known, making my truth known. Like, nope, this is not cool. I was at a birthday party and I had to put the birthday boy in his place. And then they had to drive me home.
But you made your stand.
But I made my stand, damn it. And then he was super awkward with me after that. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. But for every time that I've done that, there have been other times that I have been caught off guard that I don't know what to say. And then I, I don't say anything. And those are the ones that stay with me the most. Like,
Mhm.
ah, wish I'd said something. But, but I'm also practicing, acceptance of myself and kindness and compassion. We need it right now more than ever. So I'm
No,
going.
I agree. I mean, I'm somebody who's also had those same experiences of like people thinking they can like be a certain way with you because you don't appear like as Mexican as I guess this stereotype is, but it's important to stand up when you can and make it known who you are and who you align yourself with. I guess we have time for one last question, and that is, what advice do you have for someone stuck and can't get the words out on the page?
Yes. So a couple of things. One, if you could inhabit the skin of your favorite superstar writer, it doesn't have to be like a best-selling writer, but somebody who is like that, what would it be like to write for one day as if you were someone like them? For me, um, I I've been through so much. My body has been through so much in terms of my disability in order to get here that it feels like it wasn't a fluke. Like I'm here for a reason, and there's a reason why my words are a gift. And so I lean into that, and it's a little bit of a delulu kind of thing at times, but I'm like, no, like this is important. And so try to foster that delulu-ness in you. But as well, one of the things that I focus on a lot, when it comes to what some might call writer's block is this notion of los 13 aires cósmicos. It's something that's come my way in the past few years. It's a toolkit from Mexican indigenous wisdom that all the icky feelings in our life, like anguish, jealousy, envy, anger, shame, guilt, all those things that feel horrible in our bodies, they cause us imbalance, and they keep revisiting us because we're not learning the lesson. It's not that they're trying to like shame us or anything, these itis, these heavy winds. It's that they're trying to get us to work through a thing. So when I don't know what to write about, I take those 13 words. You can look it up, 13 aires cósmicos. Um, and I start writing about those. And it may not be something that I might share because it's a lot of times really personal things, but it's something that gets me writing anyway. And sometimes that's all I need is a little bit of knowing that I wrote something that is helping me kind of like get the muck out of my system. And so I am grateful that it for me it's not so much a matter of writer's block, it's a matter of energy. Um, and when I have the energy, I always have something to write about because there's always something going on in this body. So those things help me a lot.
Great. And I hope your energy never diminishes, whether you perform or write, you are a light, and I hope everybody here sees that as well.
Thank you, Michelle.
Of course. And I think that's all the time we have for now. Thank you again, Violeta, for reading and coming to speak with us as our first ever author on our charla. It was great to have you here tonight. Thank you to Lorena for interviewing you and writing the story for Hola Escritores and for having this happen in the first place. We're very grateful for Lorena as well. And thank you to everybody who came out tonight to join us for this and hopefully for all of our other charlas in the future. Just again, one last reminder to review or look at our interview with Violeta on our website and to sign up for our newsletter as well so you can stay up to date with our future columns. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer writer or submitting a book for us to review, we do accept submissions. You can check out our website as well, or email us or email me at my email address below to apply. If, oh, sorry, next month's charla will be with the author of The Cracks We Bear, Catalina Infante, and we hope to see you there as well. We'll release information on RSVPing for that on our website. Do check out our social media to see information on when we repost this live recording. And one last thing, Violeta has donated a copy, a signed copy of Brava for us to raffle off at the end of the year. So again, be sure to sign up for our newsletter so get more information on when that raffle drops so you can get that copy. And just, yes, that's about it from me. Make sure to scan the QR code to explore more about Hola Escritores and to review our guidelines for book submissions, such as them being eligible or eligibility. Just make sure to check out our website. And that should be it. Thank you again to everybody who was able to join and have a good night. Thank you again, Violeta.
Thank you. Hasta la próxima. Take
Hasta
care.
la próxima.
Thank you.